Ita for being mad at my husband who was going to give away $10,000 to his sister without even asking me about it. Throwaway created to keep some privacy. On Saturday morning, I noticed my husband was sending a lot of text messages back and forth. He is usually not much of a texter. He left the phone next to me to charge while he is in the other room. The phone kept lighting up with text messages when I decided to open it up to see what the big discussion was about. I know some couples view it as big breach of trust to read through a significant other's phone, but my husband and I do it regularly, so this was not a huge invasion of privacy on my end. We both have nothing to hide and it has never been an issue before. Anyway, of course I saw something on the phone that I shouldn't have that got me upset. For background, my husband is 34, I am 32, and his sister is 31, she's in this story. Husband and I have been together for 10 years, married for the last 4 years. We are all college educated with jobs now. My husband and I each make good salaries around $150,000 each. We own our house. I still have about $60,000 in student loans I am working to pay off, luckily low interest rates, so I just pay the minimum. We have about $40,000 liquid in savings. So we are doing good financially but still need to build up more savings as we will probably try to start a family in the next 1 to 2 years and want to be prepared for an emergency and have a rainy day fund. Anyway, my husband's sister is trying to buy a 1-bedroom apartment in NYC. I saw in the text messages that my husband offered to give her $10,000 for her down payment. The money is our savings, is our money. Our bank accounts are 100% combined. My husband manages 99% of the finances because I prefer not to deal with it. However, it is understood we consult each other regularly on major purchases. He did not ask me if I was okay with him giving this money to his sister. She didn't ask, he offered. I immediately confronted him, calmly, and was like, "Hey, did you tell your sister you would give her $10,000? He said yes. I asked him when he was going to tell me. He said, he probably wasn't. He figured I wouldn't notice and said he didn't think I would care about the details. I said, do you think $10,000 is a detail? He said, no, that is lot of money. I should have told you about it. Are you okay with it? I said, no, I don't think I am. Anyway, we decided in that moment not to give the money. He said he would tell his sister and she would understand. He wanted the issue to go away after that. But I am still mad. I said this was a big breach of trust. I let him control all finances because I trust him to never, ever take advantage of my ignorance. Shouldn't you be able to trust your husband? So now, I don't have that full amount of trust I had before and I want to open my own bank account, which frankly, I should have anyway. Tighter for being totally upset and feeling betrayed about this. I grew up poor and $10,000 is a ton of money to me, I mean, to most people, right? I am horrified he would consider gifting it away and not even telling me. Edit 1, wow. Thank you all for your responses. This is giving me a lot to think about. I am at work so I may be slow to respond, but I will read through every single one of these. Appreciate everyone's thoughts. Edit 2, good lord, this blew up. Thank you to all who have taken the time to respond. There are a few questions being asked over and over again that I figured I can address up top. I really appreciate everyone's thoughts. We don't check each other's phones because of trust issues, but I understand why some of you think this is the case and why is Signal's a bigger issue. I'll try to explain. My husband and I are very close, share everything and think nothing of picking up the other person's phone and reading a few recent text messages, especially if we're seeing what is up with the other person's family or it is a mutual friend. We do not read each other's phone with the intent of seeing if the other person is cheating/lying, we just do it because we're nosy. I am just trying to say the fact I checked his phone wasn't a trust issue. I have picked up my mom's phone and read a few texts to see what she is talking about with my aunt, for example. Or another example, my husband is on a big group text with like 20 people in his family. I have read through this just to see what is going on with everyone. I know we should have more in savings. We are working on it. I graduated college with a very expensive monthly student loan bill, lived in in NYC for the first few years after college, spent a ton on rent making $50K $60K a year and was not able to save a lot of money in my early years. NYC is expensive. Then we moved across the country. That was at least $8,000 in moving expenses. I have had jobs in the past where I received a big annual bonuses at the end of the year. A lot of this cash savings from the past was used for our wedding and a down payment on our house. Then I switched jobs and didn't have these bonuses for a few years. I also went about 4 months being unemployed between jobs where we were down to one income. We did not save much during this time. In December, we both started new jobs making a lot more money. We also refinanced our mortgage, got rid of PMI on our house, and were able to significantly reduce our monthly mortgage bill by like $600. So yes, we are going to make $300,000 this year, but last year it wasn't nearly this much. My goal this year was to use all my extra income from new job to save up for an emergency/rainy day fund. I will 100% be more involved in the finances going forward. That was dumb of me. I knew it was dumb and I did it anyway. My mom told me it was dumb and I didn't listen. I have always had access to our money and accounts. I just logged in today. I just didn't monitor it regularly. I did all the bill/paying taxes. I just worked and let the money flow to our savings account. I have a hands-off approach with money in that regard. I have a decent idea of how much money we make/spend/save on an annual basis. However, when it comes to monthly expenses, credit cards, etc., let my husband handle that. I will be more involved moving forward. In the past in our relationship, we considered my husband the one who is good with money. I am more laissez-faire and I was the one who has been less frugal in the past. Many of you fairly pointed out it was dumb to let my husband handle everything. He never cut me out of anything. My thought process was, my husband is very good with money and I trust him completely to handle all our finances. I'll be more involved going forward. My father-in-law is helping my sister-in-law with a down payment on her house. I knew this, however I didn't know my husband was also thinking he would help her with this. Regarding the money for a one-bedroom NYC apartment, she is looking at a one-bedroom apartment somewhere like out in Queens for like $350 $400K. She was probably going to get like $40,000 from her father for the down payment. I think my husband just wanted to pitch in and help her out a bit more. I know I make good money and still have student loans. I view student loans very differently from other debt, like credit cards. This is a conscious choice we have made together. We carry no balances on our credit cards month to month, and with the exception of my student loans and our house, we are very risk-averse with debt. I want to continue to save to make a further dent and fully pay off my student loans, but we also need to have a cash emergency fund. No one is using drugs or stealing money. I checked our bank accounts and everything is accounted for. I really don't believe he has done this before or anything like this before. It wasn't until this year we had this much money just laying around. Before, all my cash/savings were invested in mutual funds. Pre-marriage, he didn't manage all the money back then, until I extracted them to pay for our wedding and down payment. He did feel bad, but he was 100% honest with me after I confronted him. I think he wanted to step in like a caring big brother, saw his dad offering money and he wanted to help her too. I think he made the decision to give her the money impulsively. I did not immediately say we can't give his sister the money. When I confronted him, he immediately asked me if I was still okay to give the money. I did think about it and decided while we have a bit of cash right now, we need that for emergencies and are financially not in a position to be giving $10,000 away. Our lives are just beginning, we are going to have kids and their college expenses and need to retire someday. I asked him if we have to give her the money now, if it was a promise and she was counting on it. He said no, absolutely not, and his sister and father would understand if he said he couldn't give the money anymore. Also, I am due for a bonus at the end of year and I told him maybe in January when I find out what this amount is, we can consider helping her, but we don't know yet what that is going to be. Also, I did not grow up in poverty, I just grew up poorer than I am now. My mom, brother and I grew up on my mother's teacher salary. We always had food on the table, but money was tight. And my mom was, and is to this day, terrible with money, so I am just scarred from that a bit and really value the security I have today. Hope that helps clarify a few things. Final edit. First, thank you for the genuine concern from so many of you. Thank you all for taking the time to advise me. I have been reading for hours and responding where I can. The first thing I did today was check our bank account. I logged in no problem. He never cut me out of anything. I know I said he manages/controls the finances, but what I meant and should have said is that he pays the bills. I have open access to everything. All our money was there. No crazy shit happening. When I got home from work, I sat down with the husband over dinner. Told him we needed to talk through this and make sure we on the same page. We agreed he was a moron and made new rules for why this can never happen again. Agreed we will discuss any purchase over $500. No exceptions. He listened and apologized and explained his side of the story. Maybe I'm an idiot, but it does add up. I don't think he is a nefarious liar. He has a big heart and wanted to help his sister. He was still wrong. He still fucked up. But I can forgive this. Basically, yes, it was a red flag. I learned from this, but I don't think I need to hop off a sinking ship into a lifeboat just yet. I promised to be more active in the finances. I'll make sure he knows that I am watching everything. He promised to make it easier for me by compiling all accounts into one place, etc. NTA makes you wonder what else he has bought without you knowing. He's too comfortable giving away 10k. That's a huge amount. Oi, that scares me. I'll do some digging today and look into that. NTA. Even if you had separate accounts, he should be communicating with you about that before trying to do it. That is a good point too. I asked him when he was going to tell me. He said he probably wasn't. He figured I wouldn't notice and said he didn't think I would care about the details. Hell, you're NTA and this is really weird. I think you are very right to want to protect your money right now and get into counseling with your husband ASAP. He's trying to play this off as some minor thing when it very much is not. It was so weird and out of character for him. I really believe his heart was in the right place. He wanted to help his sister but at the expense of his wife, me. And agree he is now trying to play it off as minor, and I'm like, I don't think I can just let this one go. NTA. When you have joint savings, it's not a single person's to do what they want with it. My wife and I have our individual savings and a joint which is accumulating for our future home. He's the asshole for making a decision about the money without you. It's a good thing he relented and decided not to go through with it. After reading the horror stories on here, though, you might want to keep an eye on your bank accounts. That is my fear, that 10 years from now, there will be another incident, but it will be $50,000. You know the saying, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. I don't want to be the fool in 10 years. ITA for refusing to pick up drinks. I, 29F, am a recovering alcoholic who is in the mid-stages of becoming sober. I've been sober 1 year now, and although I'm a bit better, I still avoid alcohol because I know I'm not over my addiction yet. My family being my parents, 68 meters, 64F, and my older brother, 32 meters, and my sister, 25F, all wanted to get together since the COVID restrictions in our area had been loosened. We decided to have a family barbecue and my brother and sister got there first, and I was running late because I had to work overtime. While driving to my parents' house, my brother calls me to tell me Mum said to pick up some booze on my way since my parents didn't have enough, and I told him I'm not stepping foot in a liquor store because I'm still in recovery, and he goes on and on about how I need to get over myself and one drink won't hurt. I hang up and continue driving. 10 minutes later, my sister calls me and tells me I need to pick up booze because Mom said she only has 2 bottles of wine and some whiskey. I tell my sister what I told my brother and hang up. About 30 minutes later, I arrive with no booze like I said, and I open the door and my mom says, "Oh, it's so good to see you. Why didn't you pick up the drinks?" And I told her the same thing, and I tried to ignore the questions. Over an hour into dinner, they won't leave it alone, and this is where I might be Honestly TA, my sister told me I'm being over dramatic and you're not a real alcoholic. Alcoholics are people who don't work and drink all day. Have a drink, in which she pours whiskey into my glass without my permission, and I slammed my hands on the table and said, will you fucking stop with the alcohol comments to me? I don't drink. I was a day drinker. I snuck vodka in my coffee cup to drink and I needed to stop, so no, I won't have a fucking drink. And the fact that you all think 2 bottles of wine and 2 cases of beer isn't enough for 4 people is a bigger issue than me not fucking drinking. And my sister starts to cry and my mom tells me to leave. My mom, brother, and sister all think I'm TA for doing that, and some of my friends think I should have been more polite about it, but I was at my wit's end. My dad at least said he understand why I did it, but I'd give him TA for snapping like that at them. Ita for ignoring my roommate after she accused me of saying the N-word. Throwaway because roommate knows my Reddit. I, 18F, am currently dorming with another roommate, 19F, at college. Due to restrictions still going on in our area, students that are dorming can't go off campus too much. Since my family and I decided that it was safer for me to be in limited contact with them physically, I call them almost daily. So does my roommate. She speaks in English, and sometimes Spanish, when she calls her parents and siblings. I speak in Punjabi and Hindi, since my parents and I don't necessarily communicate in English at all. 3 days ago, I was on the phone with my mom. My roommate was in the room with me. We're both fine with talking to family while the other person is in the room. While my mom was on the phone with me, we started joking about something. All I remember is that I said something along the lines of, "Mom, I can't take college anymore. If I have to stare at a computer for 1 more hour, I swear my eyesight is going to go away permanently." For those that don't speak Hindi or Punjabi, the word for eyesight sounds like the N-word. It doesn't mean anything bad. It literally just means eyesight. I grew up speaking those languages. It didn't even register in my head until my roommate brought it up that the word even sounded like a racial slur. She started cursing me out the minute I said that. I quickly told my mom that I would call her back and asked my roommate what was wrong. At first, I was concerned. But then she kept saying that I said the N-word, and I didn't even process it until I thought really hard about what I said. Eventually, I did explain. I told her that what I said meant eyesight. When she didn't believe me, we pulled out Google Translate and verified. I even called a friend of mine in the same building as us and had her confirm. Apparently, she said she believed me after that. But today, the minute I woke up, she demanded an apology. She said I made her feel unsafe and that she couldn't trust me anymore. That is my language. Not everything is a direct translation to a racial slur. After I told her that, she started cursing me out again. I started ignoring her at the moment, but then she threatened to tell the RA. I think she wrote an email to the RA, so I'm not sure what to do now. I called my parents and they told me that I was right. My roommate, on the other hand, told her own parents and they think that I deserve a penalty. She told her other friends and gave them my number, and I've been getting nothing but hateful messages and racial slurs being directed at me. At this point, I really don't know if I was in the right. I feel like I should have just sucked up my pride and apologized, but even then, it's not like I did anything wrong. I'm really conflicted about this. What if I make the same mistake later on in public? What would I do then? So Reddit, Ita, update. Thank you so much for those that gave advice and reassurance. Is that the right word? I've come to the realization that much more has been happening. Sorry for annoying y'all with an unnecessary post. RA said it was a personal issue between roommates, and there was no need to involve her. I even showed her the texts I saved. In regards to other actions, RA has repeatedly been discriminatory to me before, telling me that I need to take off my turban. So has roommate, and she even goes as far as to jokingly pulling it off of my head. I will now be contacting a student representative and reporting both my roommate and the RA. Thank you all! Exclamation mark. Update 2, since a lot of people asked, I used the word nigger. Some people commented the word Nazar, and while I do use it in formal settings, or that's how I was taught, I use the first word more casually. Others have provided other words, Binai or Neen, I believe, and I've never heard of those words in my entire life until now. Perhaps it's due to regional differences, I'm not too sure.